So for today's video, I want to look at a Marvel Legend figure that was quite hard to find, for good reasons. If you started building an Avengers display, like me, not that long ago, very recently, of course, the one figure you would also need for that shelf is a Black Widow. And this Black Widow would be the best Black Widow for that display. What reasons would that be? Well, she has two alternate head portraits, including the one on her, so that's three different head portraits, which is good for a Marvel Legend because Marvel Legends don't always give you more than one alternate head sometimes. She has interchangeable hands. She has interchangeable brace gauntlets that she uses, that weapon thing she has on her, on both sides of her arm. She has two range weapons, so like two pistol looking things, and also one that has a silencer on it. Smoke effects, and of course the blast effects that can go on the gun. So when you look at this entirety of this figure and its accessories, that's a pretty good amount of accessories for a Black Widow. And it's all the accessories you would need for a Black Widow in a simple form. That's how I would say it. And the reason why this was difficult to find is because this was a Target exclusive. And whenever there's a figure that is a Target exclusive or Walmart exclusive, etc., right, that is a figure that people really want badly, well, it's not easy to track down. That's exactly why I will say that I was one of the unlucky few to have to buy this figure through third parties, and I had to pay a little bit more. And is that a bad thing sometimes? No. In my opinion, if you really need that figure for your shelf, or it's a figure that you just really want, sometimes sacrificing a little bit is okay. But don't do it all the time, because not every figure is a figure you would need to spend that much money on if it's not something you want. But in this case, for this Black Widow, spending $40 was better than probably wherever it's priced at right now if I waited way too long. I don't know how much it costs right now in the aftermarket, but I'll say this. Warbird, I might have to cave in on that too, because I haven't found Warbird ever. When I was looking for Fire at Target, the DC Multiverse exclusive figure, I was also looking for Warbird, and to no avail. Marvel Legends section was just dead. Like, there was just nothing except for the Sam Wilson that I was able to find, because no one was buying him. I don't know why. There were like three of them sitting there, and I don't know if there were any more of them, but the three that I saw for like a long period was just there. It just never disappeared. So, exactly my point. Certain figures that are exclusive will be sought after, and some might not be, right? So, with that said, let's look into this figure, because I think this figure is probably the best Black Widow I've seen as of a modern remake of this particular Black Widow in this suit. So let's take a look at this figure. So this is the updated female body mold, I guess you can say, because now she has the hinge articulation. So for a long time, the female superhero mold has never had any hinge functions where she can lean back and forth. It's always just been one solid body, or not one solid body. She's always had the upper abdomen cut where she can, swivel and rotate from that top part, but she's never had this hinge. And it's really nice to be able to see them improve this figure mold once more. So now the articulation is better. Because the female superhero mold has always been, how would I put this? Behind. So when the male body mold got the double jointed articulation, right? The female one did not get that. Most females had like a single jointed arm, but they did have like a double jointed leg for some reason, which was like, what? Like, you could do double joint here, but you don't do it for the arms. And it's just an example of why reusing molds can also become like kind of like a bad thing, is when you upgrade one mold, but you don't upgrade the other one until like later in the future. And that's not always a good thing. So, yeah. And then not only that, pinless, right? So no more pins, which is also nice. So this is like the standard like female body mold. I would say would be perfect for other characters if they like to reuse body molds so much for their figures. If they're going to reuse the female one, this is the one to go with, because double joint, pinless, and also that hinge articulation, it just makes it now a little bit better than it was before. So with that said, I want to take a look at this head sculpt, because I actually like this head sculpt. It's kind of cool. So this gets in the way, so it covers her eyes, but you could probably use like hot water to like reposition it if you don't want that hair to cover her eyes. I don't know, there's like a way to like kind of like move it. In terms of details though, I mean, outside of like the tiny sculpt lines that exist for her costume, there's not a lot of details going on, because it's just a straight black painted solid piece of plastic in most areas, right? So that's typical, but the flesh tone is pretty well done, which I really like. So, and then the hair is painted pretty good, like a matte finish. So yeah, it's a really good face print too. Honestly, the face printing have gotten better in this line, and this figure is like an example of one where it just looks really good, and I like the way it came out. So with that said, let's look at accessories. So I want to start with the other heads that she has. So this is another face sculpt, and this looks really good, right? Like, this is like an angry expression. She has long hair, but I like the way it came out. It's just that expression works, and for some reason I think of Mary Jane when I see this head, because you know Mary Jane has long red hair, so it's just really funny to see this head sculpt. I hope it's not like a reuse. And then this is like the more, I guess, classic head hairstyle, because in that photo they posted with the retro style looking Avengers, they had this figure in it with this head sculpt. So I've never seen her with this hair, but it looks pretty cool. So there's that. And then let's see, you got her gun with the silencer, right? You have her other gun, so she has two guns. I think they're like the same guns. They look like, yeah, they're the same. They look the same. Then you have her hand gauntlet thing. This one has a blast effect on it. There's the one on her right now has no blast effect, so it comes with two of them, of course. So you can see the other one. And then to make this a little bit easier, give me a minute. Then you have the ones where there's smoke coming out of it, so you can make it look like she finished firing in that direction, and now it's like smoking because it's like burned hot from firing at her enemies, right? And then in terms of effect pieces that you can peg on, I hope the camera picks this up. You have these smoke effects, so you can put these on the gun to look like after she fired a bullet there's like smoke coming out of it, which is really freaking cool. So I do like the inclusion of these. And then if you want to make her guns look like they're firing something, they well, these are not new, these are reused pieces, these effect pieces, but they still get the job done anyway. So there's two of these. So yeah, I like that there's double of everything, which is such a nice thing to do. Sometimes they don't do that. Like sometimes they don't include double of something, but for this release, they just had to. They really had to, and I like that. And then she has her expression hands. I really don't know what these hands are for. I don't know how I would use them. I haven't gotten that creative yet. And then she has her two trigger finger hands to hold the gun. So there is that. Now, I'm not going to take the head off of this figure because it's really hard to pull the head off. I've done it a couple times and I'm scared of doing it because it always feels like I'm going to break the neck joint on this figure. So yeah. And if I'm going to show articulation, it's easier to do with this head because as you've seen, the other heads have longer hair, so it kind of hinders her from being able to look up. So they're not going to get the job done. But if you want her to look up, I mean, this neck joint can look up, I think. Let me see. There we go. So you can look up pretty good with this head because there's no hair hindering her from looking up. So that's why I keep this head on this figure at all times. She can look down really good. She can also turn her head side to side. No, I guess a little bit of rocking side to side like this. So there's that. And then she has the butterfly joints, right? It only goes that far, goes that in. So very similar to DC. She does have the capability to lift her arms out. So that's good. She does have double joint. However, my copy, this side doesn't want to do double joints. And I've heated it up before and it still is kind of stubborn. So I'm hoping this side can. Let me see. There you go. So that's a pretty good double jointed articulation right there, which I like. And then on top of that, for her abdomen or upper chest area, she can rotate pretty good. There's a clicking noise. So there's that. And then her legs can kick out. She does have die cuts on both legs, so they can rotate. She can spread pretty good. Marvel Legends have always been known to not be able to spread their legs out that good, especially some figures. So there's that. And then you have double jointed leg articulation. And on this figure, it does not feel gummy. This is the one time where it doesn't feel gummy. All her articulation feels like what a solid figure should feel like. It is really weird that they've been using that weird gummy plastic. I don't know what it is. I just call it gummy because it feels like it's gummy. That's the word I like to use. Then her legs can move down here. Her feet. I mean, not her legs, her feet. And it can pivot. And there's no toe articulation, which is not always necessarily needed, but sometimes for certain poses, it would come in handy. So there's that. As for how you put those other accessories on her, I will show examples of how you would interchange the gauntlets if you need to see that. All you do is you unpeg the hand and you just take this off and you can put either one on. You can put this one on or you can put this one on. And then you just put the hand back into the socket and then that's it. And then you're done. So really easy to do, to change that. And then for the guns, you just put it on the trigger finger holding hands and then you can have her hold it. As for these effects, all you do is you just put it in the hole. There's a hole in front of the gun and then you just put it in there. Easy, right? So same thing with the let's see, with these pieces. Yep. So, very easy to do. And it's nice that she has all of these accessories included, because it just makes this figure more fun to do photos with, especially action photos, because of all these effects and options you can do. And on top of that, because it is a comic figure, let me zoom out so you can see how tall she is. She will fit well with your other comic book Marvel Legend figures. So She-Hulk, as you've seen me bring in before in other videos, that's a right scale. She-Hulk is tall. So the two of them can fit in the same shelf. Even though this one's more looking like that classic version. But again, I like this. I like that you can put these figures together and it doesn't feel like they're too different of a source material. That's all I'm going to say. This Black Widow works with any comic display, I guess. Unless it's like a very one-off comic thing where the characters don't look that way, then that's probably where you can't fit her in there. But outside of that, every other display of comic book figures, this figure will definitely do the job for. So, yeah, and that is exactly why I needed this for my Avengers. So, yep, this is one of those figures that I was like, I'm willing to pay the price just to, you know, finish this display and have an Avengers corner. I wish I could do the same thing with the Justice League shelf. Yeah, we're slowly getting there. So, okay. With that said, that will be the Black Widow review for today. And I hope that you found this video informative. And if you do have this figure and you like this figure, you can comment below on why you like this figure. If it's similar to my reasons, then that's still good, because in the end of the day, this is a good figure. So, yeah. In terms of my backdrop, as you can see before I end this, I think I'm going to keep this backdrop this way. I think having that Shazam photo is really nice. So, it'll probably stay around for most of my videos now. So, all right. Well, take care, and I'll see you in the next review.